Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Nerd Gym Report. I'm your host, Pablo, and joining me, as always, is Mr. Brian Schultz. Ironheart. The final episodes of a series that you hear its defenders, but to me, they just don't make the case of this being a great series. It had its moments, which we'll talk about, but the series was pretty much a letdown, uninteresting situation that I just couldn't wait. I found myself pausing to see how much time was left. To my chagrin, realizing I was only in the fifth episode. But Brian, what were your thoughts?
It was, I kind of felt somewhat similarly. I was trying to put this in context too, because, we need to remember this show was initially announced during the pandemic. Think about that. 2020. They told us this show was coming. They actually shot it in 2022. So this thing has just been kind of sitting there.
Yeah.
And you finally get it this year. I think it's pretty forgettable. I think we'll talk about the finale because I do want to talk about that. Dominic Thorne is fine as Riri Williams. I think that's a fine effort. We talked about some of the issues last time where I just feel like, I don't know, stuff like the agenda is very overt to me. And given where we are in the MCU, you just kind of have this feel of this was shot in a different time for a different place in a different MCU. You just have that feeling of I know that the places we're supposed to be going are going to be very different with this. And this doesn't really seem compatible with that. And so I don't really know what to take from this, including, spoiler alert, the reveal at the end of the true villain. I don't really know where that's going now. I probably have a sense of where it was going when they thought it up and when they put him in the role a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But this really does have that feel of, we know the show was dumped. We know that Marvel Television has been completely overhauled. I mean, I think you can kind of see they haven't really announced anything new, right? I mean, think about the only thing you're getting is the leftovers, right? This show, Wonder Man, right? The stuff that is coming under the new Marvel Television banner, they really haven't confirmed much of anything. I mean, I guess they resurrected Vision Quest, but that again was like a relic of the prior regime. So Marvel TV seems very much in flux. You got Iger basically saying Disney Plus kind of killed the brand or diluted it. So this show just sort of feels stuck in limbo of it's supposed to go somewhere, but I don't know if we'll ever know if it goes to the place that they originally intended. So it, to me, is pretty forgettable. It's pretty mediocre at a lot of points. So they wouldn't have it on any must watch for anyone. Yeah. But I will say, if I suspend one obvious parallel in the finale, I thought it was one of the better executed Marvel finales that we've had. And if this had come out before the Loki finale, which this is clearly riffing on, I would think even more highly of it.
Yeah. Yeah, Mephisto, as Tracy says, shout out to Tracy, Eggheads Entertainment, he said that his reveal and character, for many, saved the series in a small way in terms of giving it some high fives and congratulatory sentiment at getting us interested. With Mephisto, the things that he says are things to pay attention to. Mm-hmm. And so it has you talking about what other people has he made deals with, right? All these other things that he talks about. And it opens up a realm of possibilities for this character. And where Marvel may be going based on some of the things that they've announced.
I thought Sasha Baron Cohen did a pretty good job here. This is not this is not Borat, right? Like, he's not playing around in this role. He's still hamming it up a little bit, but it's a dramatic part. He is sinister. He is playful, and he's interesting. The biggest thing he's fighting is that Jonathan Majors basically did all this a few years ago in what was a better finale. Tom Hiddleston. That to me was the biggest struggle for me with this entire sequence. Was like, was this a thing that Marvel was just going to keep doing? Like a template of, hey, we reveal the villain in the final episode. We use conversation to drive home who this villain is. And it's an actor you don't expect at a time you don't expect it. Like, that's the only thing I was struggling with, was it did feel like a rehash of another successful finale. But I enjoyed it. I actually thought it added to Ramos's character, who obviously is not comics accurate, but I thought Ramos became progressively more interesting as the show went on, because he was kind of off going in this different direction. And then when it led to the sit down with Mephisto, I was like, oh, this character is now somewhat interesting to me. It's not the Hood in any true comics that he's just doing his own thing, but it's an interesting character. And then when Dominic Thorne sits down with Mephisto at the end, near the end of the show, that's a pretty interesting sequence to me. It's one of those where you're like, I weirdly came out of it being like, yeah, I would have been interested to see what the Mephisto plan would have been. I assume there still might be a Mephisto plan, but it'll be different now. I've seen people speculate Mephisto is basically going to just overwrite Kang and do what Kang would have done. And maybe that's one of Marvel's way out. Like, Doom does some of it, Mephisto does some of it, and now you can kind of escape whatever you intended to do with Kang. Yeah. But I found myself most interested by those moments when he was on screen.
Yeah, me too. I just found myself frustrated with everybody else and the decisions made in this series in terms of how things are created, the people involved helping. It's just, I didn't enjoy that storyline.
Well, can we talk about Ironheart itself? Because I am not a huge fan of what they did to the character in this series. I don't really know what the intent. We know they want to do Young Avengers. I don't really know how this character fits into that. And I found myself consistently questioning her decision making as a would-be hero. I just don't buy it. And I think that went right to the very end of this show. I didn't buy how they set this character up.
Maddie, this woman is a hero. A hero.
And now I'm like, is this character at all heroic? Like, you're a criminal, you're a murderer, and you literally made a deal with the devil to bring your best friend back over the greater good. Am I really supposed to root for you? And maybe I'm not. Maybe this is being set up as like, you're actually going to be sort of like a quasi-villain to the Young Avengers. But like, I just couldn't understand how we got from Wakanda Forever Riri Williams to End of Ironheart Riri Williams. And I didn't really enjoy that.
Yeah.
And that's not a Dominic Thorne critique, because she's taking the scripts and she's performing them. That's not her job. That's the job of the writers and the showrunner. But this character's too flawed and too immoral in my mind at this point. Yeah. Like, you made way too many conscious bad decisions for me to be like, we can just wipe that slate clean.
Yep, she's a real hero.
I mean, I did think it was interesting, like when she's sitting there with Mephisto, the idea of like one of your supposed heroic characters choosing to shake the devil's hand. I was like, okay, that idea in isolation to me is interesting. Like, where does that lead? Especially in the context of you want to build a team and you know that one member of the team has done this. But like I said, like, she's just not heroic. Like, the things you've done, like, the Red in the Ledger, man, like, it's a lot. Like,
yeah, man.
Did you enjoy it all? Like, where are you on Zeke Stane? Where are you on Alden Ehrenreich as a character? Like, do you care? Does it matter?
Nah, I don't. I mean, I think I sort of liked his performance in the beginning, but then it just got, where do you go from here? He's like, I don't know. I mean, he's certainly going to be involved in Young Avengers type situations.
Yeah.
But where is he in his life where we even care? What has he accomplished? What is he doing? I don't know. I don't know if it's like a vision quest where you're curious about what that dude is trying to find out or to explore, to understand.
The only dilemma that he set up that I was like, again, it felt a little underdeveloped in the show. But I thought Ehrenreich did a couple of interesting things, was this idea of, I am acutely aware of the true legacy of my father. And I'm doing everything I can to not be that. But I keep winding up on the same path. I was at least remotely like, it took us 6 episodes to get there. And it was kind of underserved. But I was like, as a character, I was like, that is the premise of something interesting as a villain. A villain who is doing everything possible to not repeat the mistakes of a prior villain. But just can't run away from it. And as a result is sort of tormented by that. I was like, I could watch more of that if you were able to execute it well. But how it was done here felt a little forced, because it was like, well, he's kind of being mind and tech controlled by magic. It's not like he's consciously, inadvertently making that mistake. He's being literally enslaved into that. So I don't know. That part didn't work for me, but I kept waiting for I wanted to see magic versus science and technology. And then when she was like, I got to fight magic with magic, I was like, we're going to do that? Like, we're going to cheat code our way into this? I don't know.
Yeah, man. It's just, and like the parts she's using is not vibranium. They're parts, like any of her suits survived, yo?
And she doesn't, and she doesn't stay in them that long, right? She's in them and then they're busted, and then she's, yeah. What did you think of the suit, by the way, the last version? Didn't care? I was trying to figure out if it was too Gundam or too did it echo something else? Because it doesn't look like the comics one. She looks like a mini Iron Man a little bit more, right? They kind of have the arc reactor slot. They're just very similar, and so I understand why they didn't want to do that. But what they settled on, I was like, is this too Power Rangers? Is this too are they echoing another mech too much? I thought the effects looked okay, like the physics looked okay.
Yeah, here's the thing, man. And it's unfortunate that it's this way, because then others believe that because you're the guy, you can do whatever it is that you want. RDJ is Iron Man is an Iron Man because it's Iron Man. Is because RDJ, you know what I'm saying? That's what it is. Now, Disney is rolling the dice on him to be able to do it again with this character. But if it's too much RDJ, that's not Doom, and we're probably out. That's the concern there.
Well, I think that's also always been the impossible challenge for Dominique Thorne and having this character in the MCU is, in the comics, they introduced Riri Williams about 10 years ago, at a time when I think in the comics, Tony Stark was also dead. And so they kind of are like, all right, we're going to create a new iron-ish character. And I'm just not sure that we needed that in the live action. Like Downey's character dies on screen in 2019. They announced this character in 2020. And now we see it realized in Wakanda Forever in 23. And now here in 25. And I'm like, I just think you're fighting too much of an uphill battle. It's like, to your point, like, we don't have to have a mechanized suit with a heads-up display character at all times in the lineup. It's not required. And I just think people keep seeing this and they're like, it's not Iron Man and it's not Downey. And it's like, it's not fair to Dominique Thorne that that's happening, but I do think it's happening. And it's kind of impossible for them to overcome in a way that, quite honestly, like, Haley Steinfeld taking over for Renner, you can get away with that. And it's not a disrespect to Jeremy Renner as an actor. It's just Hawkeye as a character doesn't cast as large a shadow as RDJ did as Iron Man. So I think you can hand the bow and arrow off to Haley Steinfeld, and it's fine. But with this one, the bar is so high.
Yeah. It's not
and
fair.
they just didn't get there. Yeah, they just didn't get there.
Yeah. I mean, it'll fall into the same folder, I guess, as Echo. Right?
This went to our prior discussion of when we talk about representation and we talk about female characters and that sort of stuff. Is Marvel helping or are they hurting? Like they're casting a lot of these and they're greenlighting a lot of these, but if you're not serving them well, if you're not executing and writing them really well, are you actually helping the cause as much as you purport to? Because a lot of these things that we're calling dumped, forgettable, get out of the way as fast as possible, a lot of them seem to be fitting a similar profile. Yeah. And we hope Wonder Man won't be like that either, but it kind of feels like it might.
I hope not. Because I think I heard some good things about it, but
it's still a former regime show, right? It's like a relic show now. It's not the new, whatever new Marvel TV is going to be. It's not that. Yeah. But again, it's like Yahya is a charismatic guy, right? He's an award-nominated guy. It's like, I don't know. I don't think we'll see a season 2 of this. I'd be shocked.
Nah. We'll see more Mephisto for sure.
Well, I would say the individual characters absolutely will be brought back in movies and other places, but I don't think you're going to see a season 2 of this.
Yeah. But yeah, let us know in the comment section below.
What did you give it? What do you want to give it?
A 2.
I agree. It's definitely not the worst thing it's not as insultingly bad as Secret Invasion by any stretch. Yeah. And Mephisto, I think the finale is a +1. As much as there's some rehash, I'm telling you, I that was my favorite episode. Episode 6 was, and a lot of times in Marvel shows you don't get to say that. My favorite episode of this show was episode 6. But it's just too hard a task, and it comes and goes, and I don't think we'll be talking about it down the road other than maybe wherever Riri Williams and wherever Mephisto wind up going from this.
Yeah. Yeah, let us know in the comment section below what you guys think or thought of Ironheart. There's some moments in there that you sort of take with you and see how they address in the future in terms of how they're used. And
the end parts of Ramos's character, forget the hood part, where you see the classic, like he does the deal with the devil and then he winds up with nothing, right? He basically alienates his friends, his team, all that sort of stuff. Like he delivers a pretty good performance in that, to where I was like, that was sort of some of the more interesting stuff just in a vacuum. But as a continuity Marvel character, I don't need it.
Yeah, just don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment in the comment section below. And we'll see you next time on the Nerd Report.